My girlfriend's junior just made a high-profile post. Thank you, Luciana, for being with me. We've successfully obtained our certificate and are stepping into the next stage of life. I scrolled past it calmly and immediately brought up breaking up. She frowned. It's just a driver's license, not a marriage certificate. Why are you throwing a tantrum? I know you didn't pass this time and you're in a bad mood. I'll practice with you. Okay. I didn't say anything and turned to leave. What Luciana didn't know was that during the time she had been flirting ambiguously with that junior, I had already applied for an exchange program in Hong Kong. From now on, we'd go our separate ways, no more seeing each other again. Chapter 1. When Calvin posted that license obtained successfully update, Luciana was leaning against my shoulder, playing games with her friends in a private room. Her group of girlfriends teased her. Luciana, if you ask me, does that freshman have a crush on you? That post sounded pretty suggestive. Luciana paused while touching up her lipstick, a faint smile on her lips. Don't talk nonsense. Gerald is right here. As she spoke, she casually leaned in and gave my cheek a light, fleeting kiss. My stomach churned with nausea. I brushed her hand away. Just as I was about to pick up the drink on the table to soothe my throat, she snatched it first. Your stomach isn't great. Don't drink this. The noisy atmosphere in the room felt suffocating, so I excused myself to the restroom. Right then, my phone chimed with a message. I checked. It was from my advisor. Gerald, you previously submitted an application for the University of Hong Kong exchange program. The list is out now. As long as you meet the GPA requirement, you can transfer there at the end of this semester. Before this, I had still been hesitating whether to go to Hong Kong or stay here with Luciana, but at this moment, facing her ambiguous attitude toward other guys, I finally made up my mind. Got it, Professor. I'll make sure my GPA meets the requirement and start preparing for the exchange. When I pushed open the door to the private room again, ready to lay everything out with Luciana, Calvin had somehow been called over. He sat beside Luciana, looking restrained, but the two of them were sitting so close that there was no space for anyone else. I walked over and met Luciana's beautiful eyes. Luciana, let's break up. The moment I said that, the atmosphere in the room instantly froze. She toyed with her brown curls and leaned lazily against the sofa. Just because I went to take driving lessons with Calvin and didn't bring you, isn't that a bit much? Besides, that post was just for fun. It's a driver's license, not a marriage certificate. What are you so mad about? Seeing my cold expression, Calvin stood up right on cue. Yeah, Gerald, you've really misunderstood Luciana and me. I'm not very bright, and my family isn't well off. I've never even touched a car growing up, so of course I'm worse than you at driving. Luciana was just being kind, helping me. I didn't bother responding to him. I simply repeated my point. Luciana, I said, I want to break up. She let out a short laugh. No regrets. No regrets. After saying that, I turned and left. Back in the room after I was gone, Luciana ran a hand through her hair irritably and pushed Calvin away. Someone asked her, Luciana, Gerald really seems angry this time. Aren't you going after him to smooth things over? Her eyes stayed fixed in the direction I had left, but she still said stubbornly, I wasn't planning to do anything with Calvin anyway. What's he getting mad about? Just wait. In less than 3 days, he'll definitely come back to me on his own. Chapter 2. Because the school hadn't officially announced the exchange program to Hong Kong yet, I only told my mom about it. While helping me plan ahead, she said, Gerald, do you remember Aunt Moo's daughter? She's been developing her career in Hong Kong all these years. If you go there, she can look out for you. A cute girl's face appeared in my mind. I nodded. Thanks, Mom. By the time I finished dinner, it was already 7 p.m. As soon as I opened my phone, I saw a post from Calvin. Happiness is evening, after dinner, with her. A sports car, cruising around. In the photo, he was sitting in the passenger seat of a sleek black sports car. In the top left corner, part of a wrist was visible, wearing a Van Cleef Arpels Alhambra bracelet. That was the birthday gift I had given Luciana on her 18th birthday. About half a year ago, Luciana suddenly had the idea of doing a self-driving trip around the world, going to Iceland to see the aurora, to Tokyo to see the snow. She asked me, Gerald, what color and brand of sports car would make you willingly wander the world with me? Back then, there were no cracks in our relationship yet. I played with the ends of her hair and joked, at the very least, it has to be black, with a starlight ceiling, like a Panamera. Unexpectedly, the very next day, Luciana actually pulled some strings and had a limited edition black sports car shipped over as a gift for me. She even said that after we got our driver's licenses, she would personally take me out for a drive. After that, to make this wish come true, she dragged me along to sign up for a driving course near the school. Everything had been fine, until a junior suddenly showed up, using the excuse of a trial lesson. On his 8th attempt, after failing to distinguish between the accelerator and the brake, he drove the car straight into the roadside greenery. The instructor dragged him out. "Student, if you really want to learn how to drive, please pay the tuition first. Otherwise, you'll be fully responsible for the damage caused to the car this time." That junior was Calvin. He tilted his head, looking completely nonchalant. "Sorry, coach. I was just trying it out. I didn't mean to drive into the bushes. My family's poor, and I'm a financial aid student. I can't afford the tuition or the damages right now." The other VIP students burst into laughter. "You didn't even pay and you've been hogging the car. Never seen such a shameless freeloader." "Exactly. If you've got no money, go to the regular class. Why come to the VIP class and waste our practice time?" Faced with the ridicule, Calvin's face flushed bright red, his eyes filled with youthful resentment and anger. At that moment, Luciana stepped forward and shielded him behind her. "I'll pay for him, and I'll cover the damage to the car as well." The VIP driving course wasn't cheap, it cost $50,000 in total. I pressed down on Luciana's hand as she was about to swipe her card, trying to calm her down. "Luciana, if he doesn't have money, he can go to a regular driving school. You can help him for a while, but not for his whole life." That was the first time Luciana ever lost her temper at me. "Gerald, I never realized you could be so lacking in empathy. He's a financial aid student, and it's his first time touching a car. Not only did he get into an accident, but he was also humiliated by the instructor and laughed at by everyone. Isn't that already pitiful enough? Besides, he just wants to have a better practice environment like us. What's wrong with that?" I found it ridiculous and let go of her hand. "There's nothing wrong with wanting a better environment, but you should earn it yourself. Not act like a pathetic beggar wagging your tail, playing pitiful just to gain sympathy." "Gerald, you're being completely unreasonable." After saying that, Luciana still signed Calvin up right in front of me. From that day on, he never disappeared from our lives again. "Luciana, do I press the clutch first or shift gears first?" "Luciana, what if I get nervous during the test?" "Luciana, Gerald is really amazing. He gets it as soon as the instructor explains it. Unlike me, I can only rely on you to teach me." Just like that, Luciana spent less and less time with me. She became Calvin's personal coach. She even skipped my birthday party just so she could get her license on the same day as him. Chapter 3. My thoughts snapped back to the present. Even the car she once said she'd give me now had someone else sitting in it. Anger surged through me. Without thinking, I pulled her into my blacklist. After taking a hot shower and getting ready for bed, my phone buzzed with a friend request. "Hello, I'm Ophelia Moo. If I guessed correctly, this must be Aunt Moo's daughter my mom mentioned." Out of politeness, I gave a simple reply. "Hello, I'm Gerald." I tapped on her profile picture. It was a cool-toned photo of a rainy night. As for her posts, they were eerily quiet. The only pinned one had just a single sentence. "From the moment the umbrella tilted toward me, my life would never have another dark, rainy night. Looks like she already has a boyfriend. If I go to Hong Kong, I definitely shouldn't trouble her." With that thought settled, I put down my phone and fell into a deep sleep. That night, I slept restlessly. My dreams were filled with Luciana's nauseating face. It wasn't until morning that Luciana's mother called me. "Gerald, Luciana didn't come home all night. Did you two go out again? You need to keep an eye on her for me. Don't let her fool around." I froze for a moment and answered honestly. "Auntie, I was home sleeping last night. I wasn't with her. As for where she went, you'd have to ask her." Only then did Luciana's mother realize she had said the wrong thing and hurried to cover it up. "Oh dear, look at my memory. Luciana said she was going to a class gathering last night. I just remembered." I smiled politely, not exposing the elder's lie. After a few perfunctory responses, I hung up. Just as I lay back down, ready to get some more sleep, I was woken up again by honking from downstairs. I leaned over the window to look. Luciana, who had been gone all night, was wearing sunglasses and a miniskirt, leaning against the hood of a car and waving at me. I found it laughable. She had spent the entire night driving around with Calvin in that new car, and now she suddenly remembered to come find me. I pretended not to see and shut the window. Unexpectedly, she didn't give up like she used to. She barged into my room and pulled me up. "Gerald, let me show you a magic trick." She clenched her fist, then suddenly opened it right as I blinked, revealing the sports car key in her palm. To please me, she had even tied a pink bow on it. "Well, do you like it?" Looking at her expectant expression, I let out a cold laugh. "If I remember correctly, we've already broken up. And secondly, you and that car stayed out all night." "Luciana, what makes you think I, Gerald, would want something that's already been used by someone else, including a person?" At my words, Luciana frowned slightly. "Gerald, why are you talking like this now? Last night, Calvin said he'd never been in a sports car before, so he wanted me to take him for a ride. Then he had an alcohol allergy and passed out, so I just dropped him off at the hospital on the way. Nothing happened between us." Having known Luciana since childhood for 20 years, I knew she wasn't the type to mess around, but her words still made me feel sick. The next second, to make her give up, I decisively snatched the car key and hurled it at the windshield of the sports car parked downstairs. Luciana, what do I have to say for you to believe that we're really over? With a loud bang, the brand new windshield instantly cracked into countless fractures, just like the relationship we had built over more than a decade, completely shattered. Gerald, are you insane? Do you have any idea how much effort I put into getting that car for you? She whipped her head around and stormed out, slamming the door behind her. Chapter 4. Ever since my fallout with Luciana, she really hadn't come to find me again. I was more than happy to enjoy the peace, throwing all my energy into improving my GPA and preparing for competitions. My advisor told me that recently, multiple universities were jointly hosting an innovation and entrepreneurship competition. If I could place, I would be able to secure my exchange spot in advance. So I worked hard, gathering materials, consulting seniors, and spending more than 10 days and nights preparing my presentation ahead of time. After reviewing it, my experienced advisor praised me. Gerald, unless something unexpected happens, the gold prize is yours. I smiled modestly, confident of victory. But on the day of the competition, I saw Calvin's name on the list of participants. He was only a freshman. Logically, he shouldn't even have been qualified to compete. At the same time, he noticed me too and pushed through the crowd to walk over. Gerald, you're here for the competition as well. It's truly an honor to be your opponent. By the way, my report was personally revised by Luciana. She said winning the gold prize wouldn't be a problem at all. Seeing that I remained calm and unaffected, Calvin stepped closer and deliberately dragged out his words. Gerald, to be honest, the gold prize and Luciana, I'm taking them both. Facing his blatant provocation, I brushed past his shoulder without hesitation, picking up gum I've already chewed and chewing it again. What? You really enjoy other people's leftovers that much? If you bite off more than you can chew, Calvin, you might just choke on it in the end. You. Calvin's face flushed red with anger, his nostrils flaring. I couldn't be bothered with him anymore and went straight onto the stage. During the half-hour presentation, I was completely focused, pouring nearly every ounce of energy I had into it. But when I saw the smile on my advisor's face below the stage, I knew I had this in the bag. After the competition, it was finally time for the most nerve-wracking moment, the announcement of the awards. I sat in the audience, so tense that my palms were sweating, my heart pounding as if it might leap out of my chest. Next, let us congratulate the winner of the gold prize in this competition, Calvin. As the thunderous announcement echoed, I felt as if I had fallen into an icy abyss. How could this happen? I rushed backstage, where my advisor informed me with regret. Gerald, the gold prize was originally yours, but Sioux Group is the major stakeholder behind this competition. They sent word that the gold prize should be given to Calvin. In that instant, everything became clear. I grabbed my bag and was about to go out to confront Luciana, only to run into her at the door, holding a bouquet of flowers. Chapter 5. Seeing me, she looked both happy and a little surprised. Gerald, why are you here too? I didn't bother with small talk and got straight to the point. Luciana, what gives you the right to trample on someone else's hard work and rig the gold prize that should have been mine for Calvin? She was smart, and instantly understood what had happened. Sorry, Gerald, I didn't know you entered the competition too, but precisely because I'm your girlfriend, I had even more reason to give the gold prize to Calvin. But there's only one gold prize. You pulled strings and gave it to him, so I lost it. Faced with my questioning, Luciana rubbed her temples irritably, as if I were the one in the wrong. Gerald, you already have so much. You don't need this gold prize. But Calvin is different from you. His family is poor and he has no background. He needs this award more than you do. Besides, if he loses, he has nothing left. But if you lose, you still have me. A wave of dizziness hit me, and I slowly stepped back to put distance between us. Luciana, you really make me sick. After I left, Luciana, sure enough, didn't chase after me. She waited at the door and gave the sunflowers in her arms to Calvin, who had just gained both fame and recognition. Because I didn't win the gold prize in the innovation competition, I could only take part in other competitions to strengthen my resume. It wasn't until close to final exams that I finally secured the exchange student spot, letting out a breath of relief. I also went to cancel my enrollment at the driving school. Unexpectedly, just as I reached the direction of the driving school, heavy rain came pouring down. Seeing that there was nowhere around to take shelter, I was just about to dash through the rain, when a familiar black sports car screeched to a stop in front of me. It was Luciana. After the window rolled down, however, the first thing revealed was Calvin's smug face. Gerald, it's raining this hard and you're still going to take your driving test. Luciana seemed to have already forgotten the unpleasant fight we'd had last time and called out to me. Why aren't you getting in? If you catch a cold from the rain, don't expect me to take care of you. Seeing that I didn't move for a long time, Luciana thought I was still sulking. Gerald, stop making a fuss. Okay, when the weather clears up, I'll go practice driving with you. Happy now? If that's still not enough, wherever you want to go, I'll drive you. Calvin chimed in as well. Yeah, when the time comes, I'll have Luciana teach you personally. You'll pass for sure. Listening to the two of them echo each other, I suddenly found it all utterly pointless. No need, Luciana. In Hong Kong, people are used to driving right-hand drive cars. From now on, you don't need to worry about my license. As if she had heard some ridiculous joke, she laughed out loud. Gerald, I heard you're going to Hong Kong to study. That can't be true, can it? I nodded. Is there a problem? Since we were kids, you've stuck to me like a clingy shadow. You'd rather be transferred into the most unpopular major just to attend the same university as me. I don't believe you can really go to Hong Kong alone. Even then, Luciana still thought I was only acting out of anger. I ignored her, turned around, and rushed into the pouring rain. The date for my departure to Hong Kong had already been set. After the weather cleared, I had the driver take me to Luciana's house to make a final clean break. Our families had been close for generations. Luciana and I were the same age and had been close since childhood. Sometimes, when we played too wildly, I would forget to go home. So Luciana's mother had specially prepared a guest room for me. Because Luciana and I had been constantly giving each other the cold shoulder recently, I hadn't set foot there in a long time. When I pushed the door open, the room was still clean and tidy, probably because someone cleaned it every day. After carefully looking around, I packed up everything that belonged to me and had the driver load it all into the car to send back to my own house. Chapter 6. After packing everything, there was still one box left in the corner. Inside it were all the things connected to Luciana over the years, matching keychains, identical baseball caps, and the confession letter she wrote to me when she turned 18. I didn't take a single item related to her. At that moment, something soft brushed against my calf. Looking down, it was the stray cat Luciana and I had picked up downstairs 3 years ago, Dango. Because my mom was allergic to cat fur, we had been keeping it at Luciana's place. The little thing seemed to sense that I was leaving. It kept meowing non-stop while bumping its head against my leg. I couldn't bear it. I put Dango into a carrier, planning to take it with me to Hong Kong later. Just as I was about to get into the car with the carrier, Luciana's mother heard the noise and came over. Gerald, you haven't come by in such a long time. Did you and Luciana have a falling out? I gently pressed down Dango's curious little head and smiled at her. Auntie, Luciana and I have already broken up. If nothing unexpected happens, I probably won't be staying over here anymore. To avoid any misunderstandings with her new boyfriend, I've packed up all my belongings here and taken them away. When Luciana gets home, please let her know. After saying that, I left directly. After I left, Luciana's mother immediately called her. Luciana, Gerald said you two broke up, and he's taken all his belongings from the house. What's going on? Luciana, who was drinking at a bar, suddenly felt her heart skip a beat. She straightened up and told her friends to turn off the music. What about all the gifts I've given him over the years? Did he take any of them? Not a single one. Luciana's fingers tightened around her glass, trembling slightly, but she forced herself to stay calm. What about Dango? He didn't take that either, right? Her mother thought for a moment before answering. No, Gerald actually took Dango with him. Only then did Luciana finally relax, the tension in her heart easing. I knew he wouldn't be able to let me go. After hanging up, one of her friends asked, Luciana, Gerald hasn't come looking for you even once lately. Could it be that he's really lost interest in you? What do you guys know? This is called keeping your men in check, got it? He's making such a big fuss this time, so I'm definitely not going to reach out first. It's the perfect chance to teach him a lesson. Otherwise, if we really get married someday, wouldn't he try to control me every day? The group erupted into cheers, all praising her for being impressive. Chapter 7. On the first day of the holiday, I boarded a flight to Hong Kong. By the time I landed, it was already 8 p.m. Looking at the 4 or 5 large suitcases beside me, I felt a bit overwhelmed. Just as I was worrying, a gentle voice came from behind. I'm Ophelia, the one who contacted you earlier. I didn't have anything too important today, so I came by to pick you up. The driver who came with her helped load my luggage into the car. But we've never met before. How did you recognize me in the crowd? Ophelia didn't answer. Instead, she changed the subject. Didn't we agree that I'd pick you up? Why didn't you contact me? I looked away awkwardly. Don't you have a boyfriend? I thought it might be inconvenient, so I didn't say anything. She stopped walking, tilted her head, and smiled at me. A boyfriend? You mean, you? The simple joke not only eased the awkwardness but also made it clear she was single. Letting go of my hesitation, I followed her into the back seat of the Maybach. The black car sped across the Cross Harbor Bridge. At that moment, my mom sent me a message on WeChat. How is it? Ophelia's a good girl. Right. When the old one goes, the new one comes. From my experience, she's much better than Luciana. Oh, I forgot to send your photo to Ophelia. I wonder if she managed to find you. I suddenly froze. If she didn't have my photo, how did she recognize me? Before I knew it, the car stopped in front of a villa at the peak. After entering and seeing the empty living room, I asked, "Where are your parents? Why aren't they here?" "They've gone abroad on a trip recently and won't be back for a while." Before leaving, they specifically asked me to take good care of you. "The house hasn't been fully tidied up yet, so just make do for tonight. I'll take you shopping tomorrow." I nodded, preparing myself to settle for the night, but when I pushed open the bedroom door, I was stunned. This was what she called not tidied up. The spacious room had everything: bedding, men's slippers, pajamas. There was even a cabinet fully stocked with cat litter, cat food, and bowls for Dango. I went to sleep completely satisfied. The next day, Luciana called me. "Gerald, come downstairs. Bring Dango. Let's go on a road trip during the holiday." Faced with a promise that had already expired, I no longer felt any longing. "I'm not home." "Find someone else for your road trip." "Then where are you?" "Hong Kong." There was a brief silence on the other end before she spoke again. "Gerald, stop messing around." "Okay, when have you and Dango ever left me?" "You're wrong, Luciana. The world is so big, no one needs anyone else to survive." Seeing that I was no longer acting like a simp, eagerly trying to reconcile as before, she let out a mocking laugh. "To be honest, Gerald, sometimes you really can't compare to Calvin. At least he's not as dramatic as you." After saying that, Luciana hung up directly. Chapter 8. About 2 weeks later, I came across a post she made. "The sea you stood me up on. I'll go see it myself. The promise you broke, someone else will erase it for you." The photos showed her driving the sports car with Calvin. A grid of sunset pictures taken by the seaside. I smiled and commented below, "I wish you both a love that lasts forever." Then I deleted all of Luciana's contact information. Ophelia, who had come over to pour some water, glanced at my phone and asked, in a bad mood, "Come on, I'll take you somewhere." Half an hour later, we were sitting on the big bus sunset tour, watching Hong Kong's dazzling skyscrapers, bustling streets, and iconic landmarks. I forgot the unpleasantness from earlier and completely let go of Luciana. The day before university started, I packed my suitcase, planning to move into the dorm. Ophelia stood at the door holding a plush dog toy, blocking my way. "Gerald, my parents won't be back for a while. I'm scared living alone. Can you stay and keep me company? The dorms are so crowded, you even have to line up just to wash up. And most importantly, pets aren't allowed in the dorms, but you can keep Dango here, beside us." Dango stretched lazily, showing its soft pink paws. Thinking it made sense, I said, "Ophelia, then I'll have to trouble you for a bit longer." "My pleasure." With the housing issue settled, I threw myself into my studies. While searching for materials in the library, my mom suddenly called me, her tone serious. "Gerald, Luciana dropped out of school." I froze. "Why?" "After the new semester started, she noticed you weren't attending classes and couldn't reach you. She went crazy looking for you everywhere." I told her you had already gone to study in Hong Kong, but she didn't believe it until I showed her your exchange application form. I thought that would calm her down, but the next day she went to her faculty and submitted a withdrawal request, saying she's going to Hong Kong to find you. Her mother is worried she'll do something reckless, so she asked if you could call and talk her out of it. In that instant, everything became clear. I dialed the number I knew by heart. A familiar voice came through. "Gerald, is that you? Wait for me, I'll come to Hong Kong to find you soon." I cut her off. "No need, Luciana. Even if you come, we won't be together again. I'm calling because your mother asked me to. I hope you'll stay and finish your degree. Don't gamble with your future." On the other end, Luciana dropped her stubborn tone, her voice gradually choking up. "Is it really necessary, Gerald? Just because of a driver's license, you want to go your separate ways?" I admit, I shouldn't have gone on that road trip with Calvin, but I was just acting out of spite. I wanted you to come comfort me. And during those days, all I could think about was you. I kept wishing it was you by my side. I couldn't help but find it ridiculous. "So what? Do you actually think that makes you deeply devoted?" "Luciana, I did truly like you before, but after Calvin showed up, you crossed my boundaries again and trampled on my dignity. My feelings for you have been completely worn away. A relationship is like playing cards. It may look like you're holding all the trump cards, but don't forget, I can always flip the table and stop playing." With my task done, I hung up without hesitation. Chapter 9. Because I had finished my semester project ahead of schedule, I decided to use my free time to get a driver's license. When Ophelia found out, she volunteered to be my private instructor. Everything went smoothly. On the day I officially got my license, to show my gratitude, I invited her to dinner at a Sky restaurant. While we were eating, my advisor, whom I hadn't contacted for a long time, forwarded me a message. I opened it and saw that it was a public statement Luciana had posted on the university forum. She admitted that during the innovation competition months ago, she had violated the rules, privately securing Calvin, a freshman, a spot in the competition, revising his report, and using connections to ensure he won the gold prize. At the end, she wrote, "The gold prize should go to the one who truly deserves it, and I am trying to make up for my mistake." I laughed. Luciana destroying both herself and Calvin like this, was she trying to prove her deep love to me? Other students quickly flooded the comments. Thought he was a genius freshman, turns out he just seduced a rich senior to get ahead. What genius? More like a scumbag and a shameless woman, perfectly matched. I heard the one who got replaced for the gold prize, Gerald, was actually Luciana's boyfriend. Damn, that's brutal. He unknowingly became part of their messed up little game. After this scandal, Calvin's genius freshman image completely collapsed. Not long after, he dropped out of school. As for me, being far away in Hong Kong, I had no interest in this gossip. While petting Dango and browsing online for what car to buy, Ophelia suddenly messaged me, "Gerald, come down to the parking lot." When I got downstairs, beep, a brand new McLaren 720S lit up instantly. Ophelia opened the car door and gestured toward me. "Gerald, try it, see if you like it." My heart shot straight to my throat. "This is for me." She nodded. If you don't like it, I can get you another one until you find one you like." A car this beautiful, of course I liked it, but I forced myself to hold back and shook my head. "Sorry, Ophelia, this is too expensive. I can't accept it, and I have no reason to." Even though my mom and Aunt Moo had been close friends for decades, Ophelia and I weren't related. There was no way I could accept a sports car worth millions. "Gerald, whether it's expensive or not doesn't matter. I just think it suits you." Her words struck something deep in me. I can't accept something for nothing. Seeing how firm I was, she smiled helplessly. "Then what if I say, this is a confession gift for you?" My face instantly burned red. Ophelia was confessing to me. The next second, she opened the trunk, revealing a stunning arrangement of fresh, blooming roses inside. Chapter 10. Just as I was struggling with what to say, an angry female voice suddenly came from behind. "Gerald, you refused to go on a road trip with me just so you could accept a sports car from this shameless woman." I turned around, and it was Luciana. My mom had told me that Luciana had threatened self-harm, and in the end, having no choice, she gave her my address. After a few months apart, she had lost a lot of weight. Her hair looked dry and yellowed, her dark circles were heavy, and even her clothes were wrinkled. Ophelia leaned against the car and tilted her head, asking me, "Who's that? A friend of yours?" Running into an ex you're embarrassed to even acknowledge felt like having a stain on your past. I looked away and distanced myself from Luciana. "Not really. We just went to the same school for a while." I said that deliberately for Luciana to hear, but she acted as if she hadn't heard anything and walked straight toward me. "Gerald, you'd rather take Dango away than pay attention to me. In your heart, am I really worse than a cat?" I rolled my eyes at her. "You're not nearly as cute," she continued. "I didn't come here to argue with you this time. I brought you a gift." The next second, Luciana opened her backpack and took out the gold trophy from the innovation competition, the one that should have been mine. "Gerald, I really know I was wrong. Come back with me." "Okay. I've completely cut ties with Calvin, and I even got the trophy back for you. From now on, not just the trophy is yours, I'm yours too. Even my passenger seat will belong to you alone." In the silent parking lot, I suddenly burst out laughing. "Luciana, to me, past awards and expired love are nothing but trash. I'm not a recycling station, so neither you nor the trophy are something I want." I picked up the trophy and handed it back to her, but she refused, grabbing my shoulders and shaking me violently. "Gerald, we've been together for over 10 years. You're just going to throw it all away like that? I've turned against everyone and even dropped out to come to Hong Kong for you. You can't be this cruel to me. Without you, I really can't live." Just as her shaking made my head spin, Ophelia suddenly stepped forward and slapped her. "If you can't live, then go die." Luciana instantly collapsed to the ground like a rag doll. I couldn't be bothered with her and got into the car with Ophelia, but Luciana still refused to give up. She staggered to her feet, covering her swollen cheek, and stood about 50 meters in front of the car, closing her eyes and spreading her arms wide. "Gerald, I won't give up on you. If you insist on leaving today, then run me over first." After living for more than 20 years, what I hated most was being morally manipulated like this. So the next second, I slammed the accelerator and sped forward. The sports car roared sharply through the parking lot. When the front of the car was just 20 centimeters away from Luciana, I slammed the brakes and stopped. At that moment, Luciana dropped her act of deep devotion, too terrified to even speak. After regaining herself, she lay on the ground and shouted angrily, "Gerald, Are you insane? You were actually serious. I rolled down the window and looked down at her from above. Luciana, I just wanted to warn you, stop bothering me. Between us, it's completely over. With that, I hit the gas and drove out of the parking lot. Once we reached the surface, I asked Ophelia, weren't you scared just now? If I had really run her over, you wouldn't have been able to stay out of it either. She handled her work casually, as if the intense scene in the underground parking lot had been nothing more than a trivial game. Because I knew you wouldn't do it. You just wanted to scare her so she'd back off. At that moment, we both smiled in silent understanding. Chapter 11. Back at the villa, I couldn't help but ask, Ophelia, what you said today, about confessing to me, were you serious? Of course, but we've only known each other for a few months. Isn't that a bit too fast? She slipped into my arms and tilted her head up at me. But I've known you for a very, very long time. Seeing the confusion on my face, she continued, my mom has heart disease. One night when I was 10, she suddenly had an attack. There was no one at home, so I had to run out by myself to find a doctor. Unexpectedly, it started pouring rain on the way, and I got lost. That's when I ran into you. You were downstairs taking out the trash. You acted like a little adult, holding an umbrella over me, and even called your mom to help get an ambulance. On the way to the hospital, you kept comforting me, telling me not to be afraid. Only when we got there did I realize that while you were shielding me with the umbrella, more than half of you was soaked. Fortunately, my mom was taken to the hospital in time and was fine. During the half-month she was hospitalized, your mom brought you to visit every day. You even brought back the little cakes your teacher handed out in class for my mom, just to cheer her up. Gerald, on that helpless and painful night, it was you and your mom who saved me. Only then did realization hit me. I finally remembered something. So that pinned post on your profile, it was actually about me. She gently kissed my cheek. It's always been you. A wave of emotion hit me, and I pulled her into my arms. You silly girl, why didn't you tell me earlier? At that time, your whole world revolved around Luciana. How could you possibly notice me? All these years, I've been following your posts, but I never dared to disturb you. Whenever I missed you, I just buried myself in fast-paced, intense work, because the less free time I had, the less often I'd think about you. Later on, I didn't even dare to ask about you anymore. I was afraid someone would tell me you were married, but in the quiet of the night, you were always on my mind. Luckily, half a year ago, your mom said you were considering studying in Hong Kong. I was so happy I almost went crazy. I told myself, this time, no matter what, I wouldn't let go of you again. At that moment, Ophelia, and the love she had kept hidden for so long, finally came into the light, and I finally understood how she recognized me instantly at the airport. After we truly got together, I realized just how scheming she could be, in the sweetest way. She had clearly turned down a ton of work just to pick me up, yet she casually said she was passing by. She obviously wanted me to stay, but deliberately said she was scared of living alone. To avoid Uncle Moo and Aunt Moo disturbing us, she directly booked them a 6-month luxury overseas trip package. She had spent 3 months carefully decorating the room in advance, yet claimed it hadn't been tidied up. I realized then, some people's love is never about what they say, but what they do. 2 years later, I graduated from university and successfully started my own company in Hong Kong. On the day it went public, to celebrate, I set off a fireworks show over Victoria Harbour. Ophelia stood beside me, completely immersed in the dazzling display in the sky. At that moment, I suddenly dropped to one knee and took out the large diamond ring I had prepared long ago. Ophelia, I really like you. When will you marry me? She was startled at first, then covered her mouth and laughed. The next second, she extended her ring finger toward me. I'm free right now.